We are going to introduce our three incredible judges here with us today. So we have Joe Roberts, and then hopefully Karen and Shane will be able to join us a little bit later. But if not, we have Brennan McNell and Olivia Justmay from Team NGLCC who are going to step in and provide some feedback to our presenters today. But thank you all so much for being here. And now I'm going to go over some of the rules and guidelines for the presentations. So first, each company is going to have 5 minutes to pitch. We're going to have one presenter from each participating company. I will have my timer up on the screen that will count down during each presentation, and then I will also unmute myself to remind presenters when they have 30 seconds left. After the pitches, judges will have 10 minutes for feedback and Q&A. And then if presenters don't have a PowerPoint presentation, no problem. This program is designed to be informal to provide real-time feedback for your company's pitch. Also a reminder to the audience to please mute your microphone when you're not speaking. And remember that this is a judgment-free zone. This program is designed to help you enhance your pitch and grow your business. So of course, all feedback is shared in the spirit of collaboration. And lastly, most importantly, have fun. Feel free to grab your beverage of choice and enjoy this last Friday of the month. So we're going to jump right into it. First up, we have Justin Ayers from Equality MD. Justin, you can go ahead and share your screen whenever you're ready. And then once you get started, I will get my timer started.
Sure thing. Is this visible for folks?
Yep.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Justin Ayers. I'm a former healthcare trial lawyer turned health tech entrepreneur and the founder and CEO of Equality MD. Lawyers are called counselors at life, like that piece of paper says behind me, but we're really counselors at law. And for over 20 years, LGBTQ people have asked me the same question. Where can I find a doctor who makes me feel safe? This is me a few years ago at my dermatologist's office in DC. When I came out to my doctor as gay, he said he couldn't complete the physical exam because he didn't feel comfortable touching my skin. Sadly, my experience is not uncommon. 1 in 3 LGBTQ Americans experience discrimination in a clinical setting, causing 1 in 4 to avoid care altogether. 1 in 6 are denied care, as I was, and 1 in 8 live in states where doctors can legally deny care. Discrimination in healthcare creates data gaps, and these data gaps are the root cause of discrimination in healthcare, because after all, you can't treat what you can't measure. Our solution is a national LGBTQ inclusive telehealth and data insights platform. We match patients with culturally competent providers based on their unique intersectionality of identities. We capture new patient journey data that healthcare companies need but can't access on their own because we don't trust them as healthcare providers after enduring generations of discrimination. We'll take the new data we capture and transform that into AI-powered actionable insights and sell those to the offending healthcare corporations so they can make data-driven reforms that advance health equity at scale and lower healthcare costs for all Americans. We completed a massive 5-month customer discovery project with those 3 entities you see at the top. It's the largest ever done in the country. And we learned a lot about our community. The results of this study validate our decision to not spend years and tons of money building our own tech platform, but instead to partner with an established telehealth partner that really wanted to serve our community. We trained their network of over 2,000 doctors nationwide to be culturally competent so they can create the safe digital space where our community can be their authentic selves and receive the care they deserve. This allows us to focus on growing our patient base and importantly, capturing new patient data, because that's the root of all the discrimination we've been experiencing. We developed a white label B2B SaaS solution. Members enjoy, for a low monthly subscription, access to 36 virtual visits per year and over 1,000 free medications. We do all of this without any insurance whatsoever. We pay our telehealth partner just $14 per patient per month, and this creates incredible margins and facilitates rapid growth. We're an early player in the $216 billion LGBTQ healthcare market, which is growing as younger generations are increasingly coming out. Our 2 colleagues are folks in Plume, and they do absolutely fabulous work serving transgender and non-binary patients, a population that accounts for just 4% of our community. I'm excited to announce that we recently are creating a relationship with Plume that's a referral-based partnership so that we can ensure that no patient falls through the cracks and they receive the culturally competent care that they deserve. In Q2, we signed our first enterprise client with the LGBTQ Victory Institute. And our partnership with this beloved organization creates that much needed social proof we were looking for to establish Equality MD as a viable and trustworthy national healthcare company for our community. We also have 8 signed LOIs from B2B entities that came to us unsolicited, largely because they were suffering due to funding issues or operational challenges under the current administration. Ironically, Trump's new discriminatory healthcare policies are profoundly benefiting Equality MD. Because we're not a part of America's broken insurance-based healthcare system, we are completely immune from anything the federal regulatory issues that come out, those new policies, and we are not affected by anything insurance companies ever do. We have deep relationships with our target audience that enable us to quickly become a trusted community anchor in each new market we enter, creating repeatable flywheels and powerful network effects. We've completed multiple accelerators and fellowships, launched our product, and are preparing to onboard both B2B and B2C clients. And our unique business model and enviable market access allows us to grow quickly, scale, and exit within 5 years. United Health Group already said they're interested in acquiring us for our unique data insights. We're the ideal team to meet the needs of our community because we've lived the problem we're solving. I'm a 16-year serial entrepreneur, and our first hire at Grindr is our VP of product, and we have a CFO with 6 exits under his belt, and he's an investor. We're raising $250,000 on a post-money safe note with a $5 million val cap. We use these funds to onboard, delight, and retain the unexpected surge of B2B clients that are coming to us for help under the current policies of the new regime. More importantly, we're also excited to deploy targeted digital marketing strategies designed by our lead marketer advisor, the former director of marketing for Netflix, Dr. Joel Muir. I look forward to any questions you have and have put some QR codes to show you Angel's article and a demo video for you.
Thank you so much, Justin. Great job and beautiful slides. I'm going to turn it over to our judges for some feedback. And Joe, I will start with you.
All right. So I think that sounds like an amazing program. So I did notice that there are fees for this, and unfortunately a lot of our LGBTQIA plus communities are either struggling with lower incomes or they are unhoused. Is there any opportunities for supporting people that may not be able to pay like a monthly subscription?
Absolutely. There are a lot of great nonprofit organizations that deal with members of our community who are experiencing precisely what you described.
Mm-hmm.
And we can, because of the margins we have, we are able to create incredible relationships with entities that help supplement the cost of the service that we provide so they can get it for next to nothing or free.
Okay.
And that's what we did with the LGBTQ Victory Institute.
That is awesome because yeah, I know that's a big hurdle for a lot of the people, especially in our trans communities where they may be struggling with finding stable places to live, not excluding their health care. So
exactly. Well, important part of healthcare is not just financial or our sexual orientation and gender identity, but social determinants of health, which is exactly what you're speaking to. In the data we're collecting, we're able to integrate that with social determinants of health in ways that healthcare companies just simply can't.
Excellent. Yeah. And then being that this is telehealth, I'm assuming that you can serve people in remote communities, smaller communities that may not have access to equitable health care within their local community. What kind of outreach do you do to get your name out there to those smaller communities?
Well, for example, our partnership with the Victory Institute, we have one patient from Nome, Alaska, who is, talk about remote. But they were looking for mental health. 80% of our community says mental health is their primary healthcare concern. So the outreach we're doing is through the grassroots organization that we've been a part of for decades, like the NGLCC. We're going to be joining all 54 chapters or affiliate organizations, as you call them, and making sure that we are boots on the ground and become those trusted community anchors in each new market, working with IGLTA, working with Start Out, with Centerlink, with PFLAG and make sure that we are at the ground level where and meet the community where they are.
And then do you have opportunities for individuals that may be under 18?
Yes,
Or youth
we just added a +1 for partners and spouses. We added a additional mental health package that quadruples the number of mental health visits you get for an extra $69 a month, which averages out to just $37 per full mental health visit, which is ridiculous. And we are now accepting folks under 18, whereas before we weren't.
Excellent. Wonderful. I can pass it off to another judge if they wanted to ask some questions as well. But I do appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Sounds like a great program.
Excellent. Thanks. And I'm gonna go next. Justin, this was a fantastic presentation. I'm gonna talk to you about some things that I wrote down. First of all, I just wanted to say I love that you kept it within time. I also love how you told a story about what your business does. It was really easy to connect with for someone who doesn't have experience in this industry. I also, again, from the corporate relations side, I love that you were able to show kind of the work that you did for the telehealth with NRC, Cedars-Sinai. I also love seeing the timeline. Oh, I'll let you go back to that one first. But yes, this timeline that shows how you've partnered with different corporations. It's really easy for a corporate partner to see with United Health Group, CVS on there, NRC, Cedars-Sinai, like where they fit into this journey that you have. Definitely appreciated as a gay man all of the knowledge that you had on what's impacting the LGBTQ plus community. Big thing for us right now, big thing for all businesses, and I like that you didn't shy away from it, was the elephant in the room slide, where you were also able to clearly state how you're not impacted by this and you're able to still work under the guidelines and not be. I think that again makes an easy connection for businesses wanting to do business with you, corporates wanting to do business with you. I did put I did put that I enjoyed seeing your full team pictures. It made it really personal. Again, it made it feel like I already knew your team. I already knew the family that made it up and kind of how your story was moving along. So I just want to say great job on this pitch. I love that you had easy QR codes to access. I think this was a fantastic pitch, and I'll turn it over to Olivia.
Thank you, Brandon. Appreciate it.
Hi, Justin.
Hi.
This was awesome. I agree with Brennan. One of the things that I've always liked in a pitch is when you put your personal spin to it because it kind of connects people to you and to your story. So I definitely love that and that you started with that because it keeps us engaged into, oh, this could be me. This could be
Yeah.
somebody that I know. So I love that part. I also love that it was easy to follow. Like everything you said, for someone that's not in the medical space, anybody can follow it. And so that was a really good job of even the slides. They weren't too much. You know, I love like the bolded print in certain areas so it knows where to bring your eyes to and what to pay attention to. And the stats, because that's something that we always ask about when you hear a pitch. You want to know, hey, what's it, what the stats? What are all the things? And Joe, you asked some amazing questions because any question that I could even think about, I was like, oh, Joe's on it. So, but you were just so knowledgeable. So, like anything Joe asked, you were just on top about it. You knew, you can tell that you did your research. Like it's not just a pet project to you, it's really something that you're indulged in. And I think that's what will bring a lot more people to you because you know what you're talking about and it shows in the work that you're doing with your business. So, I didn't really have much but to say kudos on this. It's really awesome. I think I've met you a few times and have talking to you, but this is the first time I've actually been able to indulge into what your business does. And so this was really awesome being able to see, I guess, the business behind the man and all that you're putting into it. So really appreciate this and the work that you've put into it and all the great things that are continuing to unfold. I mean, adding in the +1s and everything. It's like you're really thinking about every area and how to hit and where to hit. And I can't wait to see how much more it flourishes.
Thank you. And thank you about the data, because that's data drives everything. We can't just do things in a vacuum, which is why we did these stats came from this massive 32,000 patient study, which is the largest ever done in the United States on LGBTQ patients. And we couldn't have done that without going through the Cedars-Sinai Accelerator, working with UC Berkeley, and in particular, getting access to the National Research Corporation's extensive reach. And because it's funny, data prior to that study painted a rosier picture of how our community was interacting with America's broken healthcare system. When the marquee sponsor of our project was Equality MD, people Googled us and said, "Oh, they've lived the problem they're solving. They get us. They are us." Suddenly, the numbers became a lot worse, and we want to highlight that to showcase that this impacts not just our community, but the entire healthcare system as a whole. Because when we don't see doctors for preventative care, for maintenance care, we end up our first interaction is with an urgent care clinic or emergency room department, which increases costs for health systems, for insurance companies. It causes them to rise their premiums for their employers if you work at Capital One, for example. And this is really just a data-driven healthcare solution that hopes to eliminate healthcare disparities that have been there for generations. And thank God the pandemic put a spotlight on it. Although I swore I'd never go back to healthcare after defending insurance companies, I work for the dark side. And that's another reason we decided not to work with build our own platform, because in so doing, we'd have to work with insurance companies. And people laughed at me, didn't fund me because we weren't building a sexy tech solution. But now we can just sidestep all the nonsense that's going on politically and economically and tailor bespoke solutions, especially for the nonprofit clinics in rural communities that are coming to us for help, because we have incredible margins. That helps us meet our community exactly where they are so they can be who they are and receive the care they deserve.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much again, Justin. That was great. And thank you so much to our judges for their feedback.
Thank you very much.
Next up, we have Misha Safran from Center for Empathy and Emotional Intelligence, LLC. And then also, I believe that we have our two other judges from Fiserv, Shane and Karen here. So I'll be calling on both of you after Misha's presentation for your feedback. So excited to have all of our judges on. And then Misha, whenever you're ready, you can go ahead, share your screen, and start presenting. And then whenever you get started, I'll start my timer.
Okay, you glitched out for a moment, but hello.
Oh, sorry about that.
It's time for me to share my screen.
Yeah, go ahead and share your
All
screen.
right, you know what? I'm going to be using a different monitor, so I hope this is visible to everyone. I just like to see people when I talk. So, hi everybody. Where is your timer?
I'm going to start it when you start.
Oh, okay. Then let me take a breath. After Justin's amazing presentation, I need to breathe.
I hear you.
Okay, well, welcome everyone. My name is Misha Saffron, and I help people do peopling better. So, Center for Empathy and Emotional Intelligence, I founded this in 2022. However, I'm not far from being really old, and so is my business from my heart. I grew up in an area where I was told I was too sensitive, too emotional, too this, too that. I became an educator for 30 years and had to leave my employment because of a disability. So I have many intersections. I use she, they pronouns. And I decided that one of my superpowers was empathy and emotional intelligence. And so it has culminated all of my years of experience into this one business. So I'm very curious. Please type in the chat if you've ever felt misunderstood. I would really love to have some audience participation. Have you ever felt misunderstood? Whether it is emotionally, physically, spiritually, financially, socially, politically, have you been misunderstood? And I'm seeing some yeses in the chat. Absolutely. I'm so sorry. We are part of the same club. I'm going to present a small case study, but before I do so, I want you to know people judge. People judge. Judgments aren't the problem. It's the decisions you make and the actions you take based on the assumptions that frame those judgments that are the problem. When you move forward on your assumptions and judgments without checking in, where are they coming from? What are they about? That's when leaders miss the beat. So you are in leader self-destruction mode if you put too much attention on your assumptions and your judgments. Now, some of us are intuitive, but even with intuitiveness, we do need to fact check. I think our whole world needs to work on fact checking. So I have a case study. You're a leader, okay? You are a leader, and a new employee begins at your firm and looked great on paper. They performed really well in the interview, just wowed. Everyone had fabulous references, shows up on time, happy, cordial, productive. And then 3 months in, this employee is now showing up late every day. They're quiet, they're reserved, and they're unproductive. Type your assumptions in the chat. What are you making up about this person right now? Or feel free to come off mute. What have you decided about this person? Do we need to fire them? Were they just looking good on paper? Okay, could be onboarding process. They need to be checked in with, either something gone amiss or work life at home. Yeah, love it. I know I'm in the right group here. So yeah, I mean, you don't know what they're going through. Empathy is not an excuse. It's a powerful tool for connection. Empathy is not saying, oh, yeah, you don't have to show up to work on time, but it's an opportunity to identify and connect with the people around you. When I was around 22, I applied for a position to be a liaison in France. I had just come back from studying in France. I got a 4.0. I was fluent, super mature, and in addition to that, raising a lot of different people in my life. And the person on the chairperson, the one in charge of the 13-person committee, said, "No, she laughs too easily. I don't think she's mature enough." And I didn't get the position. Think about what you believe in before you actually make a decision and check in. We don't know what people are going through. My son works for a company right now and was kind of on the edge of losing his job. They ended up actually hiring a coach and giving him a raise because they checked in to find out what was getting in the way. So, what can we do differently? We're not going to laugh at the problem, but we can bring in some joy, empathy, and emotional intelligence. You can't have empathy without emotional intelligence. You got to know what you're feeling when other people are feeling. So, who am I? I'm a speaker, I'm a leadership trainer, I'm a coach, I'm an author, singer, songwriter, so much more. I have a lot of experience besides my 30 years of teaching. I have been working with organizations and individuals, and I've also had a CEO award from the National Institute of Health for my training in DEI. I do coaching, leadership trainings, keynote speakings, and we bring it all. We bring everything to you. There's no like, oh, let's do an add-on here. We customize, we find out what you need, and then we create the package that goes with that. My prices are also inclusive of a sliding scale. So while I will throw out a price, if somebody truly needs to have something else, we can have that discussion. Our pillars are empathy, emotional intelligence, joy, and play. And I will wrap up. We have 2 frameworks. We can find out more about that. And I have testimonials. And my time is up. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Misha. That was great. I'm going to turn it over to the judges now. Joe, if you wouldn't mind going first again.
Okay, sure. So I think, Misha, that's a great presentation. Definitely would have liked a little bit more time to hear more about the program, what you do, how you do it. The pacing was a little bit slow through some of it, and I don't know that I got a whole understanding about what the service that you're offering is. I mean, emotional intelligence, I do have like an understanding about what that is, how that goes into it, but was still a little unsure whether you do like seminars. You mentioned like keynote speaking. Do you have like private one-on-one sessions? Like how do you meet with your clientele? Some of those questions kind of came up through the presentation there, but um, overall, definitely would want to find out more. Would want to spend more time talking with you to try and figure out exactly how you could contribute to my needs as somebody that would want to grow their emotional intelligence. Um,
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Joe. Yeah, this is I'm more of a teacher trainer
right.
than a presenter of here, buy my stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely,
So, you know,
totally understand.
yeah,
And yeah, you had a very short amount of time there to kind of pack it all in, so definitely understand that.
yeah, thank you. So am I supposed to answer the
Mhm.
questions too, or do I just get the feedback?
You can answer.
You can answer.
Oh, okay, okay. So yes, I do keynote speaking, leadership training, and coaching, and then I have two components, basically helping build healthier relationships in the home and the workplace. So I work with
Okay.
individuals, I work with families, I work with couples. I actually worked with a couple last year that they were not even willing to be in the same room on Zoom together. They had
Mhm.
to be in different rooms, and by the time we finished our work together, they were ready for me to refer them to an intimacy coach. So that's the home and the joy that comes from those
Mhm.
relationships that they're building, and then the organizations. Like I said, I do keynote speaking and leadership training and programs, and I have different programs. I have a workshop series that's more like a lunch and learn, where they can have eight topics covered in a year or in 8 months or in 8 weeks. They can choose their frequency. And then I also have
Mhm.
modalities of trainings, which is a four-pillar training based on empathy, emotional intelligence, joy, and play.
Excellent.
They
And do
are
you have like a center? Do you meet them where they are? Kind of a combination of both.
So most of my home focused people are virtual, and then the
Hmm.
organizations are virtual and in person. So, for example,
Okay.
university hospitals, they hired me to do a speaking feature, and they had over 700 people from the hospitals on the Zoom call. That was very exciting, interactive. Guy Carpenter hired me for an ERG workshop, and they had 63 people online. And then Boa Vida Communities hired me to go to their center down in Los Angeles, and it was a 2-day training, 3 hours in the morning Thursday, 3 hours in the morning second day. So it varies. I don't have an actual, my goal, which is not what was, I think is the bigger vision,
Hmm.
is to have a center where it's healing community and retreat center for building leadership in the way that we've been lacking.
Excellent. Wonderful. I will pass it on to one of our other judges. So, but pleasure
Thank you,
meeting
Joe.
you, and definitely would like to find out more. So,
Thank you. Appreciate you. And glad you finally can talk.
for sure, for sure.
Thank you so much, Joe. And then Karen, I think I saw you on the call if you want to unmute yourself and provide some feedback to Misha. Or Shane, I think I saw you on the call as well. If you would like to unmute yourself and provide feedback, either of you can go ahead.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And for those that don't know me, my name is Shane Caldwell. I'm with Pfizer. Been with Pfizer now for over 20 years. And so I'm happy to be here. I've done judging in the past for the University of Howard University, Florida Atlantic University. And what I do every day is I focus on helping small businesses grow. So I'm going to be the guy that asks different questions than my good friend Joe there that are going to challenge you to not fall into the pandemic trap. So one of the greatest experiences I've had with this company Pfizer is the fact that during the pandemic we we spent a lot of money in terms of investment to help small businesses get back on their feet. Now, for those that did, they they took full advantage of the fact that we are more than a processor here at Pfizer. We have a tool called Clover. That's why I'm dressed all up in green here, and my hat says Clover on it. So, yes, I am a walking billboard for our product Clover. And I'll tell you, it's more than processing credit cards. It's a partnership. And I will say this to you, if you haven't decided on how you're going to accept payments, you need to partner with us. We're not only just going to help you get that done, we're going to also help you be better at your business. Here's the first thing I would say to you or ask you, what's your network look like?
My net work or net worth?
Not net worth, your network. We're not doing life alone. So what's your
Right.
network look like?
Yeah, so I am in the Chamber of Commerce's here locally, the Concord Chamber of Commerce, the Walnut Creek Chamber
Way
of
to go.
Commerce,
Way to go.
Alignable, and then also NGLCC and GGBA, and also the ICF coaching chapter that's nearby.
Yep. And it wasn't that I didn't want to say that to the previous speaker, small business owner. I would have asked you the same questions. So you answered exactly the way I wanted you to answer. You're not doing life alone. You have to
Oh,
be able to lean on your network because they're going to help you stay focused and keep going. So, God forbid we have another pandemic. What is your method or your plan to deal with that?
so I'm very fortunate that I started my business in the pandemic and started all virtual. And so it's actually been more of a challenge to get out of virtual now that the pandemic is over. So I feel like I have actually an excellent communication and strategy virtually. And the pandemic, the only thing that worries me about the pandemic is obviously the income that people have and how that will affect whether they can pay me or not. Because during the pandemic, I did have to offer quite a number of scholarships and sliding scales to allow more people to get my services, but that didn't always help me pay my bills. So I think that's where I have to be careful not to sell myself short and start to make connections in those networks with people who can also pay me the big bucks.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, spot on there. And by the way, you don't feel bad about asking people to pay for your services. That you're in the business of offering a product and a service. Feel good about telling them how much it costs. If you don't do that, people aren't going to think you're for real. And
Yeah.
people aren't going to believe you. And you need to do that. Um, Last question for you. What's your diversity like in
So
terms
I
of
am currently the Center for Empathy and Emotional Intelligence is me. And so I am disabled, I am queer, I am lighter than some and darker than others. I use she, they pronouns, and I'm so I am the diversity in my organization right now. But my goal, my dream is to have a larger center. When I do contracts with organizations and need to bring in facilitators, I'm always making sure that we are an eclectic group of people.
there you go. I don't want you to be myopic. I want you to be more biopic, and I want you binary, sorry, and I want you to be able to be diverse. That was the biggest problem we saw during the pandemic was a lot of small businesses just weren't diverse. And so when they were still trying to stay in business, they weren't diverse enough for others to either A, deal with them on a virtual basis or whatever. And so I'm just asking you to make sure you stay focused on that. But other than that, great presentation.
Thank you
Um,
so much.
and only thing I would say to you is just get them to yes. Get me to yes. I should have been taking out my credit card and wanting to to buy your services at the end of your presentation. Always get them to a yes. Okay,
Yes,
that's my
yes.
feedback for you.
You just got me to a yes.
Thank you,
Hey,
Shane. We're gonna go to Brennan for some feedback, and then we're gonna go back to Karen.
Yeah, Misha, I just wanted to jump in here since I'm here right now and say, with your presentation, I loved it. I also enjoyed how you started with your personal story. It helped us get to know you first so that we could, again, you know me, I like the stories. So it made that personal connection. So now I wanted to know more. I appreciated you putting the case studies. You had good pictures that were relevant, so it kept me engaged throughout. I wrote down the quote, empathy is not an excuse. It's a powerful tool for connection. I want that on a shirt. If you need merch, I think you should go with it because I loved that quote. Definitely resonated with me. And then with your who am I? Like again, it's that story where it's like here's a personal story, and then here's why I'm an expert in this. This is my sliding scale. This is how payments work, but I'm here to help everyone. So it really made it so that anybody who was hearing your pitch could see that no matter what level they were at, they could fit in to work with you. So I really appreciated that. But, again, with what Shane was saying too, getting that yes, so that ask at the end of the presentation where it's like, what can I do to help you? How can I make you succeed? I think that would be how you get that yes. But great presentation. Thank you so much for sharing. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brennan. And now we're going to go to Karen.
Can we get someone to take Karen off of mute? She was saying she was having some trouble with that.
Yeah, I just asked her to unmute. So it should give her the option to unmute now. But feel free to let me know if in the chat if that's not working for you, Karen.
It looks like it's not working, Carly, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't think I can actually take her off mute. I think I can only ask her to unmute.
Okay.
But we will work on troubleshooting that for our last round. Thanks, Brennan, for stepping in. Thank you so much, Misha. That was awesome. And thank you, judges, for that great feedback. All right, and last but not least, we have Lex Evans from Lexington Bakes. So Lex, you can go ahead and share your screen whenever you're ready. You can go ahead and share your screen, and then I will just start my timer whenever you get started.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. I am Lex Evan. For the last 20 years, I have been designing brands and products with Johnson & Johnson for consumers across 80 countries throughout the world. Throughout that time, I had a second passion beyond design, which was dessert. So I also spent 15 years teaching myself how to make all my favorite desserts, from cupcakes to macarons, eclairs, layer cakes. The best part of that was sharing everything I made with friends, family, and coworkers. And I learned something throughout that journey of sharing. People hate to love a sweet treat. 70% of people seek indulgence without guilt. That guilt comes from marketing teaching you to feel guilty for indulging. It comes from the physical feeling of eating what I call naughty ingredients. And just the compounding impact of the physical and emotional kind of regret of indulging. I had an idea to make feel-good luxury treats. So that's where Lexington Bakes comes in. That is the company I founded 3 years ago by accident. The difference with Lexington Bakes is that you never regret the treats that you have because they're made with real, organic, fair trade ingredients. No naughty ingredients, so nothing artificial, no sugar alcohols, no gums, no soy, no corn. We care about people on the planet. We source fair trade for every ingredient that can be fair trade. We are 100% organic, so we care about the things that are going into our bodies, but also how ingredients are being harvested with the planet to make sure that it's not taking too much without giving enough back. And then another thing that another pillar of ours is radical ingredient transparency that no other food brand has ever done before, which is we disclose every single ingredient source on our packaging and our website. You can see on the bottom here that we have some of our hero partner logos on pack, like Rocca chocolate, Strauss butter, wholesome sugar, all recognizable, really good ingredients that you know and trust that you would typically use to make your own baked goods at home. We have a treat for every occasion, from indulgent treats like brownies and cookies to help you celebrate those super important milestones like ending the workday, nutritious treats like oat bars with no refined sugar to help you start your day with good taste. We've got gluten-free products, dairy-free products, gluten and dairy-free products. There's really a treat for everyone, including our investors. We have above average product margins across the board for our portfolio. That's kind of what differentiates us is we are setting the highest standard for organic fair trade treats, which allows us to have stronger margins to just support all of the other good for people and planet initiatives that we want to do. To date, we've donated over $60,000 worth of product through our local partner Food Cycle, which redistributes that to food banks throughout our community in LA. It's important to us that as we're making organic fair trade treats, that we work to expand that access to people who normally might not be able to afford or access them. You can find our luxury treats chilling in the fridge at all your favorite natural grocery stores. Today we're in LA, San Francisco, Chicago, coming soon to Dallas. and hopefully in Q4, New York. You may be asking why the fridge? Well, the fridge is exactly where our consumer is standing in the grocery store. The fridge inherently communicates organic, fair, better ingredient products with no preservatives that are fresh and convenient. Some of the other products that are in the fridge that you might recognize are Honey Mama's, Nowhere Bakery, dough, cookie dough, and donuts. We are priced comparably per ounce, but typically the category is 1 ounce, where our products are 2 ounce. And again, the reason for that is we eliminate a lot of packaging waste. Most consumers typically will buy 2 servings versus the 1 ounce serving. So they're using double the packaging. Whereas if you know you're going to eat a bigger treat, like a 2 ounce treat like ours, we're helping you eliminate packaging waste.
30 seconds.
These are some of the competitive products for the oat bars. Some of our big milestones are we recently won 2 Good Housekeeping awards for our maple brown butter oat bar and hazelnut brownie. Our oat bars are topping the charts. They recently launched. And we had a limited edition Cocoa Crunch oat bar in collab with So.Gay this June that is now becoming a permanent flavor. And we just raised $1 million, almost. We've got 8% left to go. And I will stop here.
You saved such an exciting part for the end there.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully one of the judges will ask a little bit more about that so we can hear more. But I will turn it over to Brennan first this time.
Me, I want to see this last slide because I want to know how many units. And I saw an airplane. Oh, can I go to the next slide that we passed over?
Oh, this one.
This is your idea.
Roadmap.
Okay. Amazing. Do you know how many units are you producing a month?
So right now we are at capacity in our owned facility of about 8 to 10,000 units a month. We're moving to a co-manufacturer, so starting in September, we should be able to go from 40,000 to 100,000 units per month, which is going to allow us to achieve this roadmap of growth.
Amazing. Loved your presentation. I am a big fan of sweet treats. Anybody on the call from NGLCC knows this. And I do know that there's a couple of people on this call that are gluten-free. So I love that you had that shout out. One thing that I would say, your lead with Johnson & Johnson, I would work it somewhere in because I think when you started your presentation with Johnson & Johnson, I was like, is this a pharmaceutical-based food product? But if you use that as just your experience, because that's how you did it, I think that could really kind of make a bigger impact.
It
Love
was
the
all a planned transition from the healthcare founders before me.
Yes, it shows that you have the knowledge on how to make a healthy sweet treat. And it's funny, me and my roommate are always talking about, we need a little sweet treat. I know that's a big thing on Instagram and TikTok right now, the sweet treats. So I think you had a really great presentation on that side. I like that you refer to them as luxury treats because that really shows how you're differentiating your brand from some of the other things that you'd see in the stores. I like that you also showed us where we could get it. Unfortunately, it's not in my area, so I need to maybe just order it off the website because looking at some of these options, I definitely want to. I loved your transparency slide. I think that's a really impactful slide with corporate partners. It shows kind of what's going into your product that you care about, what you're giving back. I really think you told a great story and appreciate you sharing this with us. We will definitely need to connect offline. So thank you so much.
Thank you. We actually have our summer sale. So with code summer 2025, I think you get 25% off. I'll put it in the chat.
Summer 2025.
Thank you
Thank
so
you very
much,
much.
Brennan. And then I think we were able to get Karen off of mute. So Karen, if you have feedback you want to share, you can go ahead.
Absolutely. And you can hear me, right?
Yes, we can.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness. I liked your presentation. I felt that this pitch, it flowed very logically and it felt very natural as you were doing it. I do have a couple quick questions for you. So you said that you were really, and I'll use a different word that you used, so forgive me, in essence, tapped out when it came to scale. So have you thought about what you're going to do next to scale up this business? Because it sounds like it's going super well.
Thank you. Yes. So I have been working with a manufacturer for the last year to replicate all of our formulas and our processes. Part of our fundraise was to secure the capital to start working with that co-manufacturer so that we can say yes to more of the retailers that are interested in carrying us. I've held back on a lot of our marketing initiatives because we didn't have the product to meet the demand that we wanted to create. So now that we have the capital, we have the manufacturing partnership. Now it's kind of like we've tested and incubated this for the last 2 years-ish. We've figured out all the kinks. We used to have larger products. We went from 5 ounces to 2 ounces. We learned what works better in the grocery store. We've adjusted formats for our D2C site so that people can order based on their habits. So everything has really been like slowly controlled, the growth, and now we're ready to kind of unlock and explode that growth.
Very, very good. I really think you're going to keep going with this and be really successful. It's just, you're very, very welcome. I have a question. You said gluten-free. What about like lactose and some of the other things that we see with folks?
Yes. So our Cosmic Forest and our peanut butter cookie are actually dairy-free. Our peanut butter cookie is dairy-free and gluten-free. So at the height of our brand, we don't have any restrictions or limitations on what we can create because our goal is to create the best tasting desserts. Some of the flavor profiles lend themselves naturally to be dairy-free or gluten-free. So, for example, our hazelnut brownie, we get the hazelnut flavor by grinding hazelnuts into a flour that replaces wheat flour. So it inherently is gluten-free without making a compromise. So it's the best tasting hazelnut brownie that just happens to be gluten-free.
That's awesome. And I'm going to get some of those.
So
I have to tell you, you are not just running a business, you really, really know the minutia in your business. And that's a big advantage. I loved every bit of it. Thank you.
Thank you. That is extremely kind of you. I appreciate that very much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your feedback, Karen. And I will turn it over to Joe.
All right. Well, I will say, like Brennan, you had me at sweet treat, and then it just went up from there.
Thank you.
So, as somebody that is on a current fitness journey myself, as far as the food I'm putting in myself, the product seems extremely solid. And like Karen was saying, you've thought of all of the different angles. Definitely interested to hear more on what plans you have for like lower carb or different dietary restrictions. I know you've shown a pretty wide variety of different products and stuff. It does sound like there are some limitations potentially because sugar is a carb. So having a lower carb dessert, you have to replace that with something. But are there any options out there that you've thought of for different dietary restrictions as far as like carb intake and calories?
Yes. So carb has not been a primary focus. Sugar has been a big focus. So our 2-ounce brownies have 10 grams of sugar per serving. So the whole brownie is 20 grams of sugar. Our new oat bars have 9 grams of sugar for the whole oat bar. So it's a 40% reduction. It's slightly smaller than 2 ounces. It's 1.65, just based on all the other oat bars in the category are 1.65 ounces. So it's that was another learning thing, was kind of adjusting things to be easier for people to compare on shelf in the grocery store is different than when they shop online and they're not really looking at adjacent products. So getting this to 1.65 versus 2 ounces was part of that. But the primary goal of this was to make something that is more appealing to people who are seeking less sugar or different forms of sugar. So our oat bars have no refined sugar, which means no cane sugar. It's sweetened with maple syrup and dates. The dates also give us more fiber. So overall, the oat bars are intended to be kind of a breakfast treat that you can feel better about eating, no refined sugar and kind of like 40% less sugar. The carbs for this one are more energy carbs. So if you think about breakfast, our tiny little bar will actually hold you through from breakfast to lunch because of the carbs and the energy, the fiber, the protein. It's not a high protein treat, but the ratio of 4 grams protein to 9 grams of sugar is remarkable. And I think our raspberry one has even less added sugar because the raspberries replace some of the sugar as well. But yes, as we expand other product lines, I am considering different usage occasions and where does low sugar, low carb fit into the rest of kind of our consumers' daily life. So if you think about our two platforms, we started with desserts, which are typically like post dinner or an afternoon treat. We then aimed to serve that same consumer at a different time of day, which was breakfast or early morning with the nutritious treats that are no refined sugar. So perhaps the next thing is a high protein, low carb kind of afternoon replacement or something.
Excellent. And then I did notice that in the chat there was a question about peanut-free facilities. Do you have any products that are produced in peanut-free facilities?
So because of the variety of our products, we're still too small to have multiple facilities manufacturing. So right now we don't claim nut-free. However, there are third-party certifications for our manufacturer. They have a whole sanitation crew that comes in at the end of every day. So when we create products, we try to make them on different days to eliminate the risk of cross-contamination. So today, when we make our nut products, they're made on different days than when we make our regular products that don't have nuts. We clean and sanitize all the equipment beforehand. So we're eliminating that risk of contamination. But to move to fully like gluten-free certified facility, a nut-free certified facility, a nut-free and gluten-free certified facility becomes a challenge. But we've found that for a lot of people, they're okay having, say, oat flour instead of wheat flour and don't necessarily need it to be in a gluten-free facility. There's a smaller ratio of people that are so intolerant that they need that certification.
Yep. Excellent. So yeah, I mean, and you're relatively early in your journey, hopefully, starting out in a few years in the past, and sounds like you're on a pretty good trajectory here. The presentation itself was fantastic. It's packed full of information. It's easy to digest and it does flow from one to the next. So I think, yeah, solid presentation, excellent product there. Really excited to see it out here on the East Coast because, yeah, I'm going to be buying some of those. So
thank you very much.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much, Joe. And then last but not least, I'll turn it over to Shane if you have any feedback left to add.
Hey, Carly, I'm going to assume that you got all the samples from this last presentation.
I wish. I need a kickback.
I would love to give you samples.
As a judge, I didn't see anything come to my office. I'm just saying, good. This was a good job, my friend. Well done. The
Thank
presentation. I'm just going to pick on you a little bit, not much. And that's, I got card in hand. I opened up my wallet, thinking that you're going to get me right to how I can go ahead and get this, how I can make the order, and I didn't see that. So getting me to yes is important.
There we are. LexingtonBakes.com.
Are you a storefront or are you primarily online?
We started online, and within 3 months we had our first retail launch. So I pivoted because I held on to my job for the first 2 years and did both. I've only been doing this full time for I think just about a year and a half. I had to pick because my focus could not do both online growth and retail growth. So I chose to just follow the retail path for the last 2 years. Now that I've been able to raise capital, hire some help, we are working with agency partners to help boost the website, the online store. And then hopefully in 18 to 24 months, we can open up our first brick and mortar in LA. I'm still toying with the concept of that because I'm not convinced that a bakery is going to be the most successful brick and mortar. It might perhaps be a cafe that has all of our bakery products, because the coffee is going to get people to come in every day versus people typically go to a bakery once a week, if that.
Well then, I'm glad to hear that you're diverse in your business, that you're not just a storefront, but that you're also something online we can find you. Whether that's way out east, where we're out here in Florida, we're going to be able to make a purchase
Yes.
of your goods and services. So that's a good on you on that.
Thank you.
How did you deal with the tariffs? Tell me a little bit about how you navigated through that challenge.
So tariffs have been a very hot topic for the last couple of months, especially in the food and beverage world. I will say that in the month or two that they were implemented, it was far too early for that to trickle down to the actual ingredients that we were buying. A lot of our ingredient suppliers work on harvests. So hazelnuts, for instance, they're grown and then they're sold for the year and you have to wait for the next year. So that pricing doesn't always align with when the harvest is sold. Because the tariffs went on pause, we also didn't see anything trickle down later. Now that they're coming back, it's kind of the same thing. It's too early to tell, but I will say, our radical ingredient transparency, listing all of our ingredient partners' logos on pack, is a marketing initiative for our partners. So they are inclined to want to continue working with us as we grow our brand, we grow their brands. So it gives us some leverage, to kind of share the burden of tariffs across both companies. Um, I've also spoken to Whole Foods about this and their approach to tariffs. They were in a similar mindset that they're not going to put the burden on brands, especially Whole Foods working with so many small businesses. They understood that that would destroy a lot of businesses. So if tariffs ultimately trickle down and impact pricing the way people suspect they will, some retailers take the approach where they'll ask the brand to give up some margin, but the retailer will also give up some margin. The distributor may give up some margin. The chain of kind of how ingredients and products change hands is so long and deep that I believe if everyone works together, even like a crazy tariff won't impact the consumer's price that drastically unless you're an extremely greedy business.
Yeah, well said. Your website, do you have all the links to all your brands on there?
Yes, we have an ingredient section where we talk about all of our ingredient partners, why we choose to work with them, what makes them the best. One of my gripes with bakeries is that every single bakery in the world claims to use only the best ingredients, and you find out it's Hershey's chocolate, which is not the best by far. So as a designer, as a brand strategist, it was always my intention to define all of the marketing terms that we utilize. And on our website, we say this is what we believe makes something the best ingredient. And then we tell the story about that ingredient partner.
Good stuff. The reason that I even asked that is well, for the type of business that you are, I think of SEO. You know what SEO is, right?
Yes.
Good stuff. Good. I'm glad to hear that you know what that is. Um, we want to be able to find you. And this is for all of you business owners that presented today, you want your website to be found. And if your SEO is not strong and we can't find you, that means that Google's not going to be able to promote you. And being able to have all the links of your business partners or your brand partners in your case, sir, that's exactly what you want to do. You want to be found, and you will not be found if your SEO is weak. So good on you on that. One last question for you. Tell me, what's your network like? And I'm not talking about your net worth.
I know.
Yeah.
So from day one, I've posted on LinkedIn almost every single day. I average about 1 million impressions a year. I went from knowing nobody in food and beverage because my background was in skincare and health and wellness products to now being connected to many of the retailers and buyers that I'm seeking to sell my product to in the near future. That's been a big strategy to grow my network is just post on LinkedIn every day, and it's honestly part of the reason why we raised $1 million so quickly.
Are you also doing videos on TikTok with
Um,
your
I'm
brand?
stretched a little thin and I'm aging out of TikTok. I've worked in skincare. I may look young, but I am close to 40. Um, TikTok is just annoying. I'm just going to leave it at that. If you can't dedicate a full-time 40 hours a week to TikTok, it's not worth doing. You're constantly going to be chasing that thrill of going viral. And it's not necessarily the right strategy for every single brand. Um, I am working on content strategy, so that is coming, but it's going to require hiring a team to work on it full time. I think as a founder, the expectation is that you need to do everything, and in reality, you can't. So focus on the things you're good at and don't worry about TikTok or Instagram until you have help to do it properly. Otherwise, it's just going to be a distraction.
Okay. And one last question, Carly. I'm sorry, and I'll turn back over my time. And that is, what's your BCP plan?
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with that acronym.
Here, I'm sorry. You're that's probably the downside of working for a technology company like myself is that we talk in acronyms, and I'm sure Karen's going to kick my butt later, but that's all right. She and I are good friends. Um, BCP, your backup recovery plan. Should things go amiss, and I don't want that to happen to you, God forbid. But that's life. We're in the middle of, we just came out of a pandemic, so
Right.
that was a big change in our lives. And you just know it. You navigated the world of tariffs, and you did a pretty good job of that. What's your plan if something happens? God forbid.
So I've run and built this company by myself for the last 3 years. I think because of my background, I was able to do that with a lot of the design work, branding, brand strategy, the website. I've literally designed and built everything by myself for the last 3 years. So I have a really good control over our monthly burn. Our $1 million fundraise gets us 18 to 24 months of burn, but somewhere in the middle of that, we do start to uh, turn enough profit that we can turn the burn on off and on as we need based on our growth plans. Worst comes to worst, like I don't know. Wait, I can go back to doing more myself. I'm just starting to get my life back, but whatever the business takes is what it's gonna take from you.
Yep. And I love the scale slide that you put up, how you're going to be able to scale your business. That's spot on for you. Yep. Well done there. I think that was a good job of that. I would add more testimonials. So yes, I was throwing out the hey, I wish I had some samples, but I've never heard of you until today. And all I would say to you is give some testimonials in your presentation. Excuse me, I'm sorry. That's it.
That
Well,
is a great note. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shane. Great feedback. And thank you so much again, Lex. I am going to have to order some because I'm gluten-free and these look incredible. But thank you so much. And I want to say thank you again to all of our judges and all of our presenters. And before we go, we're going to do one quick round of speed networking. We had such great pitches and such great feedback today that we ran a little bit short on time, but we're going to do one round of speed networking so everybody has a chance to chat. We'll have a breakout session where you will have a chance to introduce yourself and your company and then answer the prompt on the slide, go off topic, whatever you want to do. We'll just do this for about 10 minutes and then we'll come back into the main room and close out. So once you get into your room, please go ahead and share your name and pronouns, your company and role, and then just share one professional goal that you're working towards right now. Once those breakouts open, you'll get an invite to join. You can go ahead and join that room and then chat with the folks in there.
Carly, you want to stop the recording?
Yes.